What's up, YouTube? It's your friendly neighborhood comic book dude, here with another episode of some great collectibles. Let's see. So, where should we start today? Well, as always, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for continuing to like, comment. Unfortunately, this video, or our last video, we didn't have anybody comment the way they needed to win a lovely poster. For anybody who didn't remember, if they had commented in a numerical fashion, they would have entered themselves into a chance to win this lovely poster. And in the event of nobody to give it to, I'm going to randomly add this to somebody's shipment for somebody who purchases something from one of our lovely videos that in fact gets it shipped to them. So there's that. For the next poster, what you can do is, Star-Lord. You can comment, like, subscribe this video, and what you do in the comment is actually throw down a number. You do it in numerical order, so if you're the first person to comment, first, second, etc., I throw those into a randomizer, and depending on how many we get, you could be getting this poster. I would ship it to you if you're somebody anywhere across the internet, so just keep that in mind. I got different lovely cool posters behind me every video, sponsored by my local comic book store, Ravenswood Comics. So yeah, there's that. What else? So we're starting to get to the point where, I was kind of pointing this out last video, that every haul for these things that we're showcasing is getting bigger and bigger. And we've entered into the realm of comics. Kind of silly, right? Friendly neighborhood comic book dude, I haven't shown you any comics yet. So, given the number of collectibles we have today, and the number of comics I've gotten my hands on from this particular collection, what I think I've decided to do, I don't know if we'll do this every time, depending on, how many comics I continue to get. I think we're going to do a separate video specifically for comics, and I'll label it accordingly. There are some nice gem old stuff, very good condition, not to be confused with the actual very good grade of 4.0, probably stuff closer to 8, 9s. These comics were kept in very, very pristine shape in a basement, which I know for some people is a red flag, but they were kept in steel file cabinets with dehumidifiers around them all the time, and the condition shows. I'm going to tease you guys with one comic that we'll get into further detail with when we do that video, but this is the original 1978 Superman versus Muhammad Ali. Oof. This is some heavy stuff, guys, and this is the tip of the iceberg. So, keep an eye out when, sometime after this video, very shortly, probably between this one and our next collectible video, we'll be doing a comic one. I'll profile some of the high-ticket items in that. But let's get started with our new stuff for today. Let's see. So I am going to do something a little unorthodox today as well. Some people may find this cruel and unusual, and I swear it's not intended to be. I did mention that we were going to start doing some things to try to garner interest before these videos even hit, or, for these items that I'm getting. To the point that, I might get my hands on something, and before it even shows up on YouTube might be sold. And I kind of just want to show you guys a little bit of what you're missing out on. Your opportunity to get your hands on this stuff before the video is, there's a link in the description for a Patreon that I've started in order to sort of bring you guys higher quality videos by getting some better equipment. But in the meantime, the things that Patreon offers you at the very most minimal level for every patron is 12 to 24 hour access to the items that will end up being in these videos today before everybody else. So that way, the second I'm showing you on the screen, somebody else has already gotten a look at these, and in turn, might be snagging them out from under you. So just keep that in mind. The lowest level of the Patreon's $1 and would get you access to seeing these things a little early. So we got ourselves some Living Dead dolls from our lovely Mezco. It's Beetlejuice, if you can't tell, in his signature red suit from the film. And he wouldn't be complete without a Lydia Dietz. Same film. Lydia is actually a lot harder to come by, apparently, than Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is averaging around 75. The low for Lydia is $167. They just didn't give her the same love, but we all fell in love with her and want her things. So those two items are already spoken for. We've got 2 more items that are spoken for already before we get into the things that are still good to go. Got another Living Dead doll. It's a Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 Michael Myers figure. There you go. He's spoken for too. He was averaging around 60. And the last one that we've got spoken for already is this lovely Texas Chainsaw 2-pack of the characters Hitchhiker and Nubbin's Puppet. Probably not super well-known characters, but they are featured in the film. And for you collectionists out there, these are the harder to come by ones. You know, everybody knows Leatherface, and they probably made a lot more Leatherfaces. These ones probably were made in a lower quantity. This bad boy ended up selling for about $40. The average on him was between like 50 and 60, so there's that. But yes, all 4 of these items that we just profiled have already been spoken for before they even hit you, YouTube. So again, check that link for the Patreon if you want to get on there. It's a recurring once a month, $1. Gets you a glimpse at this stuff before everybody else would. I don't see a reason not to. So we do have one more Living Dead doll for today that did make the cut. This is Jason from Friday the 13th, Part 2. Living Dead doll, for most that don't know. Jason wasn't prominently featured in the first Friday the 13th. The killer in that was actually his mother. So, I mean, she did it because Jason was negligently killed. But yeah, he didn't actually, make his real killer debut, so to speak, until number 2. I believe this one is actually the least expensive of any of the Living Dead dolls you just saw today. He's in about the 40 range. So, there is Jason. What else do we got? We got some real goodies today. Let's keep on our Mezco bandwagon here. Oh. So, this piece. This is a NECA real toy, because, we've got tons of those. But this is Godzilla, King of the Monsters. That's some OG-looking Godzilla. He's a 7-incher. He's definitely thicker than most of your NECA 7 inches. A lot of them cut off at about there. Yeah, he takes up a double-sized box. And he's, definitely cool looking for any fans of OG Godzilla. Got that, atomic fire breath and that, I don't even know how to describe that, cucumber green color. But he's a force to be reckoned with. What else? Oh, we do have another Texas Chainsaw figure, also in the vein of our NECA 7 inches. Notice that comparison I was talking about there. There's your double-sized Godzilla. There's your standard-size 7-inch figures. But yeah, original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Leatherface. The guy himself. Inspired by Ed Gein, real-life serial killer, for anybody who didn't know that, Used to make cereal bowls out of skulls and articles of clothing out of skin. I don't recall him ever doing the, dance like in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but, they probably had to embellish a little. He's a pretty standard figure. He's probably a year or two old. He's averaging around 35, 40. You could probably get him for a little less. I know I'm gonna probably throw him up in the 25 range. What else do we have today? Oof. Okay, so for you horror fans, this is a real treat. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry about that, guys. This is a heavy one. Give you a little bit of background on this first. I'm gonna show it to you, but then we're gonna do some explanation. Oof. This is a giant, massive slipcase for a 2-volume set of books about a makeup effects artist of prolific renown in the horror community by the name of Rick Baker. This book actually spans his entire life. He is still alive, but the 2 volumes are broken up into 1950 to 1989 and 1990 to 2019, which was a little odd when I was looking at this, because I'm thinking to myself, like, what was he doing at one that was worth documenting? But the books contain a lot of stuff. They're super big, tons of detailed images of his work over his huge spanning career. The things that you'll know him from would be things like Harry and the Hendersons, which he actually himself claims is his most, he feels like it's his crowning jewel of work that he most enjoyed. But he did other big things. He did the werewolf that Michael Jackson turned into in Thriller. He also was known for his werewolf work in what was it, American Werewolf in London. He did some others. He did the Grinch, the Jim Carrey Grinch. And he also acted as well. So, he's got a huge career, very well known. He's won 8 Oscars. Yeah, for all for makeup artwork. What was his first one for? I'm not sure. I'm sure I could find it if I had some time to look, which I do. But he got 8 Oscars, so he's very well known for this. But yeah, so this book is, it's massive. It came out in very limited numbers. I recall being told by the individual who this belonged to that the retail value was in the $300 to $400 range. I'm not sure if they've brought more out of these or what, but the range on them that I'm seeing online is between $100 and $200. So we'll probably be somewhere in the middle there when this does go up. This is probably, great for any fans of this. I don't know if it's worth noting, but I would say that this is a first edition. If they have gone into multiple pressings of this, but yeah, big treat for horror people here. Oh, let's move this out of the way though. So, all right, let's get a little grounded here. We'll back down to earth with another NECA. For any who aren't familiar, if you didn't see the logo there, this is our friend Pennywise the Dancing Clown. That's how the logo looked on his little traveling cart that they showed in, I don't know if you want to call them flashbacks, but sort of the images where they depicted Pennywise as a very old person in the history of Derry in the film, in the book. He's what they're calling Ultimate NECA 7 inches, because he's got a lot of extra pieces, some more articulation, but that's where we're at with that Pennywise. He's got, the extra appendages, he's got some extra heads, obviously this is a bigger size box than, say our Texas Chainsaw there, so, But the price on this is not exorbitant. I'm seeing him between 28 and 52, so average is about 40, which is not bad considering your average NECA is in like the 30, 40 range, so bigger stuff, especially if you're a fan of Pennywise. It's not the last of the Pennywise we'll be seeing today either. There's some more of him. Let's see. There's another NECA Ultimate that we've got today too. This one's a little older, so it's a little higher when you look at the like sold listings for it. But it's a Bride of Chucky Ultimate that has both Tiffany and Chucky. Lots of extra pieces, lots of heads and weapons and everything that you could think of. So this is another what they're calling Ultimate Chucky and Tiffany. I can only find one of these, which is sort of speaks to its age likely. It's getting harder and harder to find copyrights on some of these older NECAs. I actually am starting to think that was a newer thing that they put on them. But the only price we could find for this was in the $67 range sold, and but we'll probably have this up for like 50. Nothing wrong with it, never opened or anything, but trying to get everybody a deal and get them these things that they want. So we got Bride of Chucky. What else? Okay. Next. Told you we weren't done with Pennywise, but this one is a little bit more classic. So we're looking at Pennywise from the original It with Tim Curry. That one was technically a miniseries. I think that was bridged into a movie. Like you can buy it all as one now. But this is a talking Pennywise the Clown. This is sort of in the same vein as the Motion Freddy that we had a couple of videos ago because it's from Factory Entertainment. Yep, so this guy was another one who really could only find one sold price for him at $99. Probably have this up for about $75. So yeah, for any fans of Pennywise the Clown in any iteration. What else? Two more things to go. This next piece comes from DC Direct. I don't think we've actually had any DC Directs yet, but DC Direct, it was a line from DC Comics of more higher end statues, figures, things like that. So right here we've got a Dr. Manhattan, who's a 1/6 scale figure. This feels like it's in sort of line with the like Hot Toys or Metacoms, or that's what they were going for anyway. I don't think it's exactly to the same quality because it came from DC. Not that there's anything against DC, but I get the sense that some of these other companies like Hot Toys, when they go into their more limited pressings on figures, that it's because they're putting more detail and more time into them. So these other ones that don't have a specific limited number to them are being produced more en masse. Brings down the quality sometimes. I think this is a beautiful figure. I'm actually sort of shocked by this figure because I'm not sure if anybody here has watched it, but they did a Watchmen TV show over the last, I don't know, 6 months to a year. There was a Watchmen show from HBO that did in fact feature Dr. Manhattan by show's end, and I actually thought this would be going for more. I feel like these are, like $100 or more figures. Again, if we're thinking of them in the vein of Hot Toys. The range on this fella is between 49 and 110. So, as opposed to if the retail was 100, and you would think that over time that might help raise the value of the figure. Maybe DC Directs didn't retain their value. I couldn't say. At the same time, though, it looks like a great figure. It does actually open up so you can see him. He's, he's all suited up. He's ready to go. He's got some accessories in here. He's got a posable stand, which is cool. But he does have one or two little defects. The perforation on his box has started to separate. The figure himself has never been opened, but, I recognize that is different than, say, some of our other figures, which have no blemishes at all on their boxes. He does also, for full disclosure, I have inspected him, and he does have a small water stain here on the box. I did make sure that it does not seep through to the figure. There's no damage on the figure, but some people like to maintain their figures strictly in their boxes, and having things like this might draw from the value. So I will, say that you're likely to see this one up on the lower end of the price range that I gave you there, just for the pure fact that I'd rather err on the side of caution when it comes to collectors. I want them to, maybe somebody who's interested in this for opening it will get a great deal, because I don't want somebody to feel dissatisfied at some of these small issues. But yeah. And our last collectible for today is going to be a Hot Toy. It was part of the reason why I was comparing Dr. Manhattan to the Hot Toys, was because we got a Hot Toy. It is a Terminator Salvation endoskeleton T600 figure. He's a 1/6 scale collector figure. He's from our friends at Hot Toys. His range was crazy. The low was 235 and the high was 490, and there were not a lot of it wasn't like a low high with like 30 sold listings on this. It was like the low and the high with like 6 sold. So it's a pretty narrow amount of items sold, but high range. Yeah, so figures like this, this like broad range of articulation, the fact that it's probably hard to come by, which is why that range is so high. This is probably going to be one of our, what I'll call like grails. I think this is going to be a hard $300. And truthfully, if he's anything like the Joker, I don't foresee him selling at that price. I'm sorry, I do foresee him selling at that price, but I don't foresee it being a problem just because of the scarcity. So there is our collectibles for the day. So as I said, we are probably going to put up a separate video here the next day or so of the comics that we got, just as a sort of like a preview of what those are. We had some horror stuff, some early Swamp Thing, some Tomb of Dracula, some The Demon, who's a DC character by Jack Kirby, some things like that. So once I get those all graded up and valued out, we'll have a separate video for that. In the meantime, if you're interested in any of the things you saw today, feel free to check the description for the links for where we'll have this stuff, be it Facebook or eBay, or if you just feel like sending a message and saying, hey, I want it. And as always, like I said, I've been your friendly neighborhood comic book dude. Have a good night.